opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network. And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Friday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends, as always, top right-hand corner of the screen, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we will continue to do that today with a great show for you. We're going to recap all the action from last night, of course. We're going to preview the weekend and today that's going on, because we have a lot going down, not just tonight, but tomorrow as well. And we will continue profiling and highlighting the great interviews that we get throughout the season. We have a Coach's Corner and season preview from TK Griffith, the head coach of the Hoban Knights basketball team, with Ty Bartell. That'll be featured on today's episode. They just got the win last night over Central Catholic. So, I should say North Catholic. A great win. The boys are off to a great start down there in Hoban. So, up there in Hoban, up and to the east. Wow, up and to the west. Jeez. TGIF, am I right? My brain's going a million miles an hour. I apologize for the late start today. There was one more thing I wanted to get done before the show started, and it just took me like barely longer than I anticipated. I try to map everything out, right? So like today I had like prep for the show at noon so I could get something done. And I started at 12:30 because I wanted to wait until it got processed on YouTube. It was Wrestling Wednesday, by the way. That'll be up on our website very soon. All I have to do really is hit publish. I just came on to the show, and after the show I just have to hit publish. But Wrestling Wednesday takes a little bit longer for YouTube to process, because it's a longer video than most. It's like a half a Running Point, so it's usually like 30-minute segment. So it takes a little bit longer for YouTube to process. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, well, I'm waiting for that to process. Make sure I know what I'm talking about in the show today. Get the video ready for the interview, all that stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get this Wrestling Wednesday posted before the show. And then I'm looking, it's like it's 1:03, and oh no, I gotta get the show on the air. So I do apologize for the slightly late start, but we're here. We're not skipping on you. We're back here on Running Point. Let's dive into the scoreboard from yesterday and see what was going on in yesterday's action on YSN Live. The scoreboard, as always, presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. And the scoreboard is a great tool for the YSN fans, whether you're at one of the games or watching one of our broadcasts. Either way, you don't want to look away from the screen for too long. And the YSN scoreboard is a great and easy way to get live, updated scores from across the YSN family on your favorite teams, whether it be your heated rivals or your best friends. There's no better place to go than the YSN scoreboard. So here we go from last night. We did have boys basketball in action. Canfield traveling the east, and the Cardinals were all over the Bears, 71-37, the final score there. Canfield rolls on the road. East Liverpool with the 58-36 win on the road against Harrison Central. We had an MVAC boys matchup in Jackson Milton versus Western Reserve. Remember, this is a trophy game. The second time these two teams play, but the first time around, Western Reserve gets the win 61-47. That is the final score there. McDonald with a big win over Springfield. 75-44 final score. Excuse me for a minute. And then also in MVAC action, the Western Middle Ridge boys, they got the win 55-24 over Sebring. Hoban, like I said, got the win over North Catholic. The final score there was 76-53. We go into girls basketball last night in Struthers. The Wildcats were able to get some positive vibes going as they beat Champion 51-34. The final score there. Lakeside and the Osborne Academy, that game was postponed. Pymatuning Valley and Maplewood. Maplewood gets the win 43-24 over the Lakers. We go to Heartland Christian in Toronto. Heartland Christian gets the win on the road 54-48, the final score there. Perry welcomed in Richmond Heights, and they fall 39-19 to Richmond Heights. Columbiana went to Southern, got the win 57-18. And Wellsville goes to Latonia and wins 51-15. Another one in EOAC action. United all over Valley Christian. 58-28, the final score there. Badger gets the win 67-20 over Fairport Harding. We have Matthews and Grand Valley playing. Grand Valley all over that one, 59-20 as well. Lakeview goes on the road at Niles, holds off a Dragons comeback, and it is a 59-55 final score there. Girard and South Range getting NE8 play started in the Thriller Dome, and it was a close one, but Girard able to make some plays down the stretch to win the game after South Range took a 41-40 lead in the fourth quarter. Girard eventually wins 49-44 as they score 9 of the last 12 points down the stretch. Hubbard goes to Poland, and this was a game where the two sides were having opposite ends of starts of the season, but Poland is still Poland in the 88. They get the big win 52-28, the final score there. Blackhawk is able to beat Beaver 59-44, and then Mohawk goes on the road and gets beat by Riverside 57-27. So now that we got the scores down, let's talk about some of these games. I want to start with Canfield. Going on the road on the boys' side, getting the big win over East. We were able to get a little insight on how everything happened down in Canfield. We have a story for you on ysnlive.com as well. Very balanced attack for the Canfield Cardinals when you look at how they were able to dominate this game. Jude Shapiro and Bryce Roberts both had 11. And then you have Ray McCoon and Frank Tarantino both had 8. So you have 4 guys there with a combined, let me just do the mental math, combined 38 points, right? So 11, 11, 8, 8, that's 16 and 22. Yeah, so combined 38 points by 4 people there. Then you also had Ben Weaver with 7 on the day for the Cardinals as well. And then a lot of other guys scored too. So you had I think 8 or 9 guys score for Canfield. 5 of them having 7 or more. That's just hard to defend. And that's the way Canfield was last year. They were such a balanced attack. You really couldn't pinpoint one person that was going to beat you. That's what made them so tough. Now a couple of new faces stepping up. You know, you had a lot of seniors graduate last year that meant a lot to that team. So a couple of newer faces stepping up into the varsity limelight, but they're doing the same thing. They're just tipping it. No one's having astronomical days where they're scoring 26, 27 points a night. But if you have 4 or 5 guys scoring 8 plus a night, then it kind of does the same thing. And I would argue it's harder to defend if you're preparing for a team like that. So a very balanced attack for Canfield. They're still unbeaten. The girls are unbeaten, so no one in the Canfield basketball room has lost yet. And I hope I didn't just jinx it by saying that. Well, the girls are going to have some time before that's a problem. They don't have to play until the 23rd. They have next week off. But the boys still have some work to do for sure, and a very tough schedule ahead for both programs. How about these MVAC games? McDonald with the very dominating win over Springfield. 75-44 was the final score. This is a McDonald team that is really playing a very good brand of basketball so far to start the season. And this is a great way, I think, for them to get MVAC play started. I mean, we're talking about a team that kind of they didn't blow out people yet. So this is probably the most dominating game that they've had so far. When you look at their game that they played on Wednesday, they lost 37-33, right? So or they cut it to 30. They were down 27-9. They were able to come back, but then they just weren't able to finally finish that game that they played before the Springfield game. So we're able to come back against a lot of odds. Springfield's a really good team. They're back at home. They make the plays in order to win. So I think I really like this McDonald basketball team. I was able to see them during a preview at Warren Harding, and they look really good. They look balanced. They look like they have a lot of guys that definitely know what they're doing out there. We go to girls basketball. This is a good game for Struthers. This really is. Talk about a program that really started the season in a rough way with a lot of good teams on their schedule. They weren't really given a breath. They took their lumps, and a lot of people were asking me what's going on with Struthers? They were supposed to be one of the top teams in definitely in the conference this year. They're returning a lot of people. Keelan Kimball's healthy. And I'm just like, hey, the schedule is brutal to start the season. There's no let up, right? So if you lose a little bit of momentum or you lose a little bit of confidence, and then the next game is Warren Harding, and you don't have a lot of room there to kind of pick yourself up. They finally had a little bit of breath between games. They got back in the field house, and they were able to take care of Champion. And I think they match up pretty well with Champion when you think about it, because you look at the Champion team, very good basketball team. They can score, but they're more of they're a smaller basketball team. They don't have necessarily the size or the depth, mind you. And Struthers with Gianna Martin and Ava Croyle and even Caitlin Kimball, who's bigger for a guard. I think the size advantage was there. They definitely jumped on Champion early, and then they stopped Champion from doing their bread and butter, which is the perimeter jump shot, right? So Champion likes to shoot, and when you can stop them from being able to shoot, and you can lower their shooting percentage, that definitely helps. It also helps, mind you, the Champion plays in a lot of small gyms inside that MVAC, not a lot of big spaces gyms in that league, and then they go to the field house where your depth perception is way messed up by the space that you have in that gym. So that could have hurt the shooting for Champion too. You never know. Champion has a big league game coming up on Tuesday that they have to bounce back for. They have LeBray coming to town, and that's a team that they have to beat if they want to put themselves in the top tier of the MVAC. They got to make sure they take care of LeBray. So that'll be a fun one on Tuesday. I will be in that game. I am scheduled to be a Champion on Tuesday. I like watching both teams. I had a chance to see both of them live so far this season, so I know that one should be fun. And then Struthers, they have South Range coming to the field house on Monday, so that'll be fun as well. I'm at both those games, so I'm at both these teams' next matchups. So I'm really excited to see what they both bring to the table for the rest of the season and definitely next week. I want to look at the game I was at last night as well. Hubbard going to Poland, and this is a game where coming into the game, I think a lot of people were a little bit scared for Poland. If you were on Poland's side of the fandom there, because Man, you're playing a Hubbard team that's 4-1. They're looking really good. They're playing really good basketball. They beat an East team that you just lost to on what I think it was Monday. So there's some reasons for concern, right, coming into this game. But I think one of the things that Poland did well in this one was they got off to a fast start. They hadn't played a good first quarter all year, and Coach Blanche was the first to admit that. Like, they did not get off to any good starts, and they trailed against Champion, who they beat. They trailed against Cheney. They trailed against Canfield. They trailed against East. They put themselves in holes in every first quarter that they played. Even the game they won, the Champion had them down 13-2 at the end of one quarter of play, right? So they really put an emphasis on getting off to a good start, and they did that this time around. They put Hubbard into a little bit of a hole, and then they just kept hammering down. And the third quarter was the big one where they really separated themselves. It was a 12-point game at halftime. You feel like 12 points, if you're on Hubbard's side, you get out to a quick start in the third quarter, you're right back in it. We can still do this, but Poland came out in the third quarter and immediately put a stop to that, and it was a runaway by the end of the third quarter. And that's just what Poland needed. They needed just a little bit of a breath, right? And then excuse me. They need a little bit of a message, right? This is a message to the rest of the conference. Because I think maybe some teams could have looked at those first four games and said, oh, Poland's vulnerable this year. Maybe we can have a shot at the NE8. Maybe we can get into it. And I think Poland needed this game to be like, hold up. We're still the 5-time defending NE8 champions. We've only lost a handful of games in the NE8 ever. We've never lost at home. They've never lost an NE8 game in Poland. And maybe they just needed to remind everybody of those facts a little bit last night. It felt like a team that just wanted to just remind some people, like, hey, we're still Poland. You're still going to have to come right through us and beat us if you want this conference. Now, they have a really big road game on Monday coming up against Girard. That is one of the places that they have lost in the NE8. They've only lost to Girard, South Range twice, and I think Ed Struthers once in the NE8. I could be wrong, and if I am, I know Nick Blanche is going to hit me over the head the next time he sees me. But I think that those are the only teams they've lost to in the NE8, and they've all been on the road. So Girard I can confirm that they've lost to Girard because I remember that game very vividly. But Girard is one of the places that they have lost in the league before. It's going to be a tough game. They have a lot of weapons you have to stop. You have to stop Allie Gassman. You have to stop Kaylee Wilkes. You have to stop Mackenzie White. They play really good offense and defense, respectively. And they proved that against South Range, that they also are a team that can make plays down the stretch when they have to. I mean, Girard's game last night, and I'm going to talk about it now because I had the chance to watch pretty much the whole second half of it. My game started a little bit earlier in there, so I was able to flip on DJ Oakley and Kaylee Luckland. Great call by those two inside the Thriller Dome. Love the Thriller Dome, by the way. I want to send a shout out for DJ to keeping that name alive because there's no better place than the Thriller Dome. So you look at this game, and Girard, they just made plays. Like, every time you thought South Range was going to have momentum, someone made a really, really high-level play for Girard to just calm everybody down. And whether it was Mackenzie White, who made, a great transition block, or whether it was, a nice little drive into the lane by Kaylee Wilkes. Mackenzie White had a great game, by the way, in this overall. But whatever it took to get the win, that's what Girard did. And I have the stats from this game. I want to break them down real quick. I want to thank Coach Bornemus for sending over his stat books. You look at Girard and what they were able to do and how their offense broke down. They had just I'm on South Ranges. They had come on, you little. There it is. They had two players in double figures. The big day from Mackenzie White, she had 17. You had 10 points from Kaylee Wilkes. So South Range did a really good job on Allie Gassman overall. She only hurt him for 7. I think you would accept that, but 17 points from Mackenzie White, who has really battled injury this year. She's only played in 3 out of their 5 games. She missed a game at Mineral Ridge last week, and really, she didn't look 100%. She was still dealing with that ankle a little bit last night, and she was still able to put up 17 points. That's warrior mentality from the Gerard senior. And you gotta love it. You gotta love when your senior who has been through it, wants this program to succeed more than anything, a little bit banged up, and just works through it. Just says, you know what? I'm not coming out of this game. Whatever it takes to get this win. I think Gerard knew this was a very important win. Their game on Monday means not nearly as much if they lose this game to South Range, because then they're already behind the 8 ball. Now, I do think that this in the 8 year is going to be kind of wild. So I don't think South Range or even a team that maybe gets a loss early like Niles, who lost to Lakeview, I don't think you're necessarily out of it for losing that one game in the NE8. I think there's going to be a little bit more chaos in this conference. I think there's a lot more parity. I think there's a lot more teams that can even you see Niles getting a lot better. You know, they almost beat Lakeview last night, who was undefeated. So you're starting to see a little bit of the gap drop in this league. So I think it can get kind of wild west before it's all said and done. So I wouldn't panic. Now, in years past, you would panic because it's like, we lost one game. Poland might lose one game all year. We're in trouble. This time, you lost one game. You still have both matchups with Poland, who's the favorites of the conference. You're going to get Gerard again. Now, it'll be on the road. You want to protect the home if you're South Range, so that one hurts. But I think for South Range side, it's not as much panic mode as it would be in years past in the conference for losing a game early. And for Gerard, like I said, if they would have dropped that game to South Range, it would have really put them in a tight spot for Monday, because losing 2 to start the season, that's a tough way to go, right? So that's a tough mountain to climb if you lose 2 to teams that you'll probably be chasing if you went with 2 losses. But they didn't. They played well on the road. They made the plays down the stretch, and Gerard got the win. Final stats for South Range while we have them up on the night. They had a pretty balanced offense too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different Raiders scored. Only one of them was in double figures, and that was Sophia Lucente. But they had 8 points from Gwen Lowry, who hit a really fun step back 3 in the fourth quarter. They had 5 points from both CC Foster and Heidi Bartels, and then they had a bunch of players with 4 points. In fact, no one had less than 4 out of those all those girls that scored. So I think if South Range continues to do that, they'll be okay. I think more times than not, they're not going to give up 49. This defense is historically giving up less than 45 points. Even in the games that they lost last year, they were really good at keeping teams definitely under 50, but more than not under that 45 mark. So I think more times than not, if you have an offense like that for South Range, you're going to at least give yourself positions to win. Of course, they would like a few more points from a couple of players that I think Gerard did a really good defensive time on. You know, you would love Gwen Lowry to get in double figures. You would probably love a few more points here and there from a couple more players that are starters. But I think that balance is what Jeff Fitchell is looking for. This isn't a team like Gerard in the sense where Gerard has, you know, multiple teams that can beat you, and kind of like Canfield boys, we talked about them a little bit earlier on. South Range is a team that doesn't have that one player that's usually going to go off and score 26 a game for you, but they have 4 or 5 players that can go and score 6 to 10 points per game, which I would argue, once again, harder to prepare for, harder to defend, because you can't just circle one player and say, if we stop them, then we're going to be putting ourselves in chances to win that game. Now, I think just like Canfield, you have a player that's like number 1 to stop. I think for South Range, you say, we cannot let Gwen Lowry go off. She's their best shooter. But if we don't, and then we let Sophia Lucente go off, or we let Cece Foster get loose, or we let Taylor Dado score in the paint, then you're going to be in trouble, right? Same thing with Canfield. I think I would say Ben Weaver is probably that guy that you circle a couple of times and say we can't let Ben Weaver dominate this game for Canfield boys. But if he doesn't, you got so many other players. You got McCoon, you got Tarantino, you have Shapiro, who is a great point guard but can also score when he needs to as well. You got a lot of players. I don't know how to really prepare for that other than just play really good defense, right? Play really good overall defense. I think both teams are going to be really okay when the season progresses. I liked what I saw from both teams. And then one more before we get out of the scoreboard. Shout out to Lakeview. We've been doing it all year. This is a team that is putting their foot in the ground this year and really trying to stamp themselves as competitive. Yeah. But they're trying. They have a lot of proud players that have found success in other sports too, that want basketball to be at that same level, right? They want basketball to be where softball was last year, sharing the NE8 with South Range, and knocking South Range off to do that on the road in softball last year, right? That was a great team, and a lot of players from that team play basketball. They saw what volleyball has been doing for a long time. They want the basketball team to be in that conversation as well. And they're really playing a very motivated brand of basketball right now. They had a big lead. Niles started to come back. Niles is making a lot of strides, but Lakeview was able to hold them off. It was a very impressive win for the Bulldogs to open up NE8 play. And now they can also say, hey, you know what? It wasn't just non-conference. You're succeeding. This was, okay, we're going to go into the league. We're going to get a win against a team that is very competitive in Niles. They've proven that this year already. They've got a fight with Niles. They proved we can make high-pressure situation plays with Niles. I like what Lakeview is doing, and I like Sophie Irwin, who scored 22 points for the Bulldogs. That's a great performance from her. We're seeing a lot of good things from this Lakeview team. A lot of players that can beat you. It's the same tone, right? You got Irwin, you got Max Stowe, you got Isabel Eisenberg, Talissa Warner's having a good offensive year. A lot of people that can really give you problems on the offensive side of the floor. I'm excited to see what Lakeview does in the conference as they keep going on. But everyone still has to beat Poland. That's the bugaboo in the NE8 right now. You still got to go and you still got to beat Poland. Hubbard couldn't do it last night. They'll have one more chance in Hubbard later on this year. I think Hubbard's fine. I like what I'm seeing from that team. Kamaya Howell was a little banged up last night. Didn't come in the second half. I think she's okay. I think once that game turned into a little bit of a runaway, I think very smartly Coach Manzo was like, you know what? Probably not going to come back in this game even with her on the floor. Let's just not risk one of our best players and just say, you know what? Let's try to get what we can with the players that are on the floor. Let's not risk it, because I feel like seeing her after the game, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to speculate, but I think she's okay. I think she's going to be good to go. I definitely hope so, because that's someone that Hubbard needs on the floor. And Jillian Palumbo put up a great effort, 16 points. She did her job. That is for sure. So Hubbard's okay. Hubbard's going to be fine. I think they're going to have a really good season. I like what I'm seeing from that basketball team on the girls' side as well. We are going to jump from girls basketball to boys basketball for our season preview. Today we have TK Griffith from Hoban. The boys team got the win last night. We're going to hear a season preview coach's corner from him. Ty Bartel had the interview. That's coming up next on Running Point after we pay some bills and say hi to some of our sponsors. Don't want to miss it. Running Point always brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We'll be back in a minute.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
From I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Welcome back to this Friday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, top right-hand corner of the screen, right there, point in the right direction. We are continuing our trend of putting up player profiles, coaches' corners on this show, highlighting the great coaches and players around the area. Today, we are going to feature a coaches' corner and season preview from the boys basketball coach in Hoban, TK Griffith. Always awesome to talk to him. Ty Bartell had the pleasure this time around. So I hope you enjoy this interview as much as we enjoy putting it up.
Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartell in with another edition of Coach's Corner, and I'm joined by a very special guest today, a man that I feel needs no introduction. He's known statewide as a legend in the sport of high school basketball. He is considered the GOAT by myself. The man, the myth, the legend. Open boys basketball.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, Tom. That was I've never heard that one before.
I always do it. Coach, it's another year getting ready and gearing up for hoops season. I know another year with you at the Hoban Knights helm. Talk to me about what you're seeing from the guys this year, too. Another successful trip to the regionals last year for your team. What do you see out of the guys this year? What's standing out to you this year from what you have seen?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things. I think we, number one, what's standing out is it's one of those typical seasons because Hoban football is doing so well again that they're deep into the playoffs. So we don't have two starters, theoretically, as long as they're healthy and choose to play basketball, which I think they are. And Johnny Johnson and Sam Greer. So I hate to start with that because that negates the other guys, right? But the other guys who we do have, a few have been injured, and then but the other ones are just working their tails off, and they want to continue this legacy that we've had the last few years of pretty good basketball teams. So a lot of seniors like Kenny Scott and James McCarthy, Sam Costco, Cameron Ensley, who came back from an injury, Tyler Shadid, Bub Jennings, they all want to have their piece of the action. And then we've got some young guys like Brady Lucy, Owen Hamilton, Ethan Yukich, the Capraletti twins, and a few guys that I probably just forgot, unfortunately, but I'm pretty sure I nailed them all. A lot of guys just working hard and trying to get a little varsity action this year.
Well, you know what the standard of Hoban basketball has been to. It's been a high standard of successful seasons and very tough gauntlet schedules that you guys always put forth in front of you. When you talk about keeping that standard of success, does the identity for teams change year to year, or does just the strengths that you play to change year to year? What would be the strengths of this team this year, you would say?
Yeah, no doubt. I think every team has its own identity, and I don't want any person or team to compare themselves. I try not to do that personally. I don't think we really last season even talked about the state championship team more than, maybe we mentioned it once or twice, but honestly, even that team had some highs and lows and had plenty of dysfunction. We got it right at the right time. And God kind of blessed us with that run. So it's not like that was a perfect year either. It just ended kind of perfectly. But I think every team has its own identity. It has leaders. It has people who are chemistry guys. Every team has to find its own synergy and its own cohesion and how to play best together. And it kind of takes us a while sometimes at Hoban, just because, like I said, the football guys oftentimes come in late after maybe like a state championship run, and our schedule is kind of a bear these days. So you might be getting your butt kicked while you're trying to experiment with stuff. So yeah, every team has its own identity, but I don't want these kids to have to compare themselves against anything, because it's not really the way we don't set them up like that. At least I hope I don't. They might feel a little bit of it just because they know we've been good for several years, but it's not something we sit there and talk about every day. We just hope that they will be as good as they can be, whether that's 12-10 or whatever they can do that year. That's all we can hope.
Coach, you talked about that state championship run too. That was a previous 4-division format. I believe you guys were the smallest Division I school to ever win a state championship for the sport of basketball. But we talk about it now this year, expanded divisions. You guys are moving down a couple of divisions too. And I think it kind of evens things out playing field wise in the bigger schools. At least that's what I'm hearing from coaches. You're a legend in this game. You've been doing this a while too. You've been coaching high school basketball a while. What's your opinion on the expanded divisions, and how do you foresee it benefiting or maybe not benefiting the Knights?
Yeah. I mean, as far as in general for every high school kid, it's nice to have more opportunities to have a dream run to a Final Four or a championship game. So I guess that part's good. I don't know if I love it going to 7 divisions. It seems a little watered down to me. Not that we're going to have anything to say about that. I'm just saying in general, it feels like a lot of basketball divisions. However, like I said, the joy of a tournament run is pretty special. And if more kids can celebrate that, I do understand that piece of it. As far as us, I don't think it's any better for us this year than it was because of how loaded Division III is. But I think there could be some years in the next 5 to 10 years at Hoban where it might help the coach. Perhaps that's going to be me. Perhaps it's going to be somebody else. Hopefully I can coach a little bit longer here, but because I love what I do. But I think it could benefit you if you land in that right spot, because obviously it's just maybe a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but it could be 1 game shorter, maybe a little bit easier to get to that Final Four. I don't think it's ever easy to get to a Final Four, so I hate to even say that. But Division III this year, it doesn't look that easy for us because you got Garfield Heights, you got Louisville, St. V's, Gilmore, maybe CVCA. I haven't even looked, to be honest with you. I just know when I saw those 4 big dogs, I thought, oh man, this isn't going to be easy. So. But again, you just have to try to win one at a time. And maybe if you get in the right district, or maybe you the right matchups, or you're playing well, you can make a run.
You talk about the gauntlet of a tournament that it might be in Division III with all those big names too. But I know you guys always prepare yourself for the tournament with a gauntlet of a regular season schedule. Talk about some games that are highlighted on the schedule for you this year that you're excited to test the Knights against.
Yeah, I'm the type of guy that doesn't like to look at the schedule too much. I just kind of figure out what practice is tonight, because it just builds anxiety and stuff like that for me. But I know we play 2 Columbus teams that are really good, Dublin Jerome, and I think it's Westerville Christian or Worthington Christian. I know we play St. V's, Walsh, Gilmore. I know we play Warren, JFK, Louisville, although I heard Louisville might have just dropped us because they got into something else, which is a bummer. We play maybe the marquee team besides the obvious ones might be a team from Kentucky, Newport High School, not Newport Catholic, but Newport High. And I heard they had one of the best players in the nation if he stayed, and they're a loaded program. That's at the Smithfield tournament. I'm just mentioning a few, and I hate to even. There's a Pittsburgh North Catholics coming in. There's not really an easy game on our schedule that I can find. I just know it's going to be a CVCA. Futch has done a great job there. There's just a lot of tough games.
How do you breed that into your players too? Because when you have a schedule like that, there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to, okay, this is a game where we could catch our breath, maybe, I guess, pad the stats a little bit, feel good about ourselves, right? There's really no hiding spots too. So how do you, I guess, get that mentality out of your players too, to be okay going in the schedule, knowing that there might be some lumps along the season?
Yeah. I mean, it's not fun because that's when everybody starts falling apart and stuff. It's just human instinct, right? We were 2-4 last year with a couple kind of embarrassing losses early. And I feel like it's a crucible moment for that team and for those kids because they have to start looking at each other in the mirror. How am I practicing? It's hard to get guys in games sometimes when they're very tight games, right? So your rotations get sticky. And I don't feel good about that as a coach because you want to give that guy who's number 8, 9, or 10 a little bit of playing time, right? But then you're nervous about the win. You don't get the win. It happened a lot to us last year. Warren JFK kicked our butt. Louisville kicked our butt. 2 other teams that I've blocked out. I don't know. We were 2-4. All I know is we weren't playing very well. So it's a great question. We just try not to get too high or too low, to be honest with you. I think hopefully the kids that have been around know that we weren't even that perfect when we've had really, really good runs. You know, I think one of the regional teams had 7 losses. One of them probably had 8 losses. I can't remember records right now. Even the state championship team, I think we had lost 3 games, maybe 4. So losses can be good for you. I hope there's enough breathing room to get some wins too, because you want that confidence to come back.
You talk about what you've been able to do as a coach in your 30 years with the Hoban Knights too, and just your coaching experience in general. You always get the most out of your kids too. And I know that's always, like you said previous in this interview, that it's always one of your goals to get the most out of your kids, regardless of records. And I truly believe that every player I've ever seen play for you, I feel like I see them play with 110% out there on the court for you at all times. What's your secret? What's your trick to getting the most out of your players year in and year out? How you've been able to do it so consistently for so long?
Yeah. I don't think it's a secret. I think a lot of it is the benefit of being at Hoban and the kind of families and the kind of kids that we attract. I think I've always felt like Hoban gives out a very authentic vibe to the community and a vibe of work ethic and a vibe of blue collar type of people for the most part. And so because we give out that vibe in our admissions and people kind of know us for that, then we attract those type of families, right? So then when they come to Hoban, it's not like I have to, come up with some magic pill. I hope then once they get into the basketball program, we try to be honest with kids and proud of the opportunity to represent Hoban, and hopefully we're also authentic, and maybe hopefully some years if it was a good year, I think they want to do well for you as the coaches. The assistants, Norm, all of our guys, they have good relationships, probably better relationships with the other guys than me because I'm getting old now. But, they want to perform well for their parents. They want to perform well for our community. And I think on the good years, they want to make the coach proud too. So it's kind of like a lot of intangible qualities that I don't think it's anything special that we're doing that other people aren't doing, hopefully, for them and for everybody, because the basketball coaches are pretty good across the board. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but so I don't think it's a secret sauce other than just trying to change, evolve, get better every year. I like learning about the game and stuff like that. So that's kind of fun. I like experimenting with stuff. Hopefully we try to keep it fun. The last 5 years, I think we've tried to keep it fun too. I don't like to go 3-hour practices. I like to go 90 minutes, maybe 100 minutes. I want these guys to love basketball in late February, not hope the season ends.
When we
we're not getting on the lines running 25 down and backs every day, which is just stupid to me. If we practice hard and get after it, then they're going to, and we go hard for 90 minutes or maybe 100 minutes, then there's going to be joy for the game. Like when practice is over, if the guys are still shooting around and wanting to be in the gym, then I know I've got it right. If they leave right away, then I know something's wrong. So I like to leave them with a little bit hanging. And then I see guys wanting to stay in the gym, work on their game, work on their shot. And then those are the years where you're like, okay, we got this figured out because they still like basketball somehow.
I love it. I love it. And when we talk about wanting to represent their community, wanting to represent Hoban, I think it starts at the top. And I feel like there's really not many better people that represent Hoban than you. I feel like you exemplify Hoban in a person, man. I mean, principal, graduate, you've won state championships as a player, as a coach. I mean, you've done a lot with this Archbishop Hoban community. Talk to me about the love, man, the deep-rooted love you have for it, to keep coming back year in and year out, keep representing it to the highest of standards.
Yeah. It's family. It's family to me. It's just my whole life. Tough to put that one in words because my dad went to Hoban, my father-in-law went to Hoban, my wife went to Hoban, I went to Hoban, my kids went to Hoban, my aunts and uncles. So it's been just what my whole life has been about. So therefore, it's easy because it comes natural to want it to be kind of like a lighthouse for society. It kind of keeps society safe, and then graduates its people. They go on, but yet we stay there, kind of like Motel 6. We'll keep the light on. We'll keep the light burning for the next generation, and just wanting to be a good place for society. And there's a lot of people beyond me, a million people beyond me, who are also feel the same stuff towards Hoban, the same love towards Hoban. And there's a lot of families that have been third, fourth generations. That might have been the key to that tournament run, is like you had the Greers who were third generations, the Hardmans, second generations. My son was third generation. There was a lot of blood there that you don't always get that at the Catholic schools, because sometimes people move away. So to answer your question, it's just something that comes naturally to me, because that's what I've devoted my life to.
I love it, man. And from an outsider too, that's been able to see what you guys do over there at Archbishop Hoban too. I love what you guys do for your community and for your kids, no doubt. A couple more questions for you, Coach. I can't let you go without shouting out the rest of your coaching staff and other big names that are in this this Knights basketball community and team.
Yeah. Tim Lucy has been with me since 1997 when he played for me and graduated, and his son Brady's going to be a junior. Norm Jesser played for me and was with me when his father passed away as a senior, and we've been very close ever since. Matt Viles runs our Classic in the Castle tournament this weekend, and also is kind of like our director of basketball operations from the backside. Matt Monter is going to be the JV coach this year. He was the head coach at Dalton. He's been in Hoban for a couple of years in athletics. He was the assistant at Jackson when they went to the state tournament. I used to sit by him when he was 8 or 10 years old at the state tournament with him and his dad. So it's cool to have him on board. Bob Lucy's going to help out with freshmen with Robbie Griffith. Steve White's still there. And I probably missed somebody who I'm going to feel horrible about right now. But I don't think I missed anybody. Those are the guys that are helping us out this year. Ian Adams moved on to Woodridge. He's a head coach. So he got his first head coaching gig, which is cool for him. And I think I hit most of the assistants. If I missed one of you guys, I'm sorry.
A lot of your assistants too have gone on too to coach other places too, and it's also a testament to what you are doing too as a coach, teaching younger coaches in the game as well. One of my theme questions for all head coaches this year, TK, has been the lessons the game teaches. And I know you've been a big teacher and a big proponent in the sport of basketball, teaching young men and how it relates the sport to real life scenarios. But I actually want to know what the biggest lesson the sport of basketball has taught you.
Probably the power of resilience and humility. I think the game will always humble you, but resilience goes along with that, because how do you bounce back from those moments where you may feel a little humbled or humiliated, or humility? Humbled is the verb, but I think then how do you bounce back from that? How do you stay resilient when you don't want to go to practice that day, or a parent's mad at you, or you have a tough parent meeting that night, or 3 kids aren't playing and they kind of dislike the whole thing? How do you stay resilient and kind of draw them in and make sure that everybody feels valued? So that's the magic part, is trying to make sure everybody feels valued. It's hard to maintain team because we all have egos. So I've mentioned 5 things right now, but humility and resilience, I guess, will be my 2.
Final question for you, TK, because the opening tip of high school basketball for so long has started around Thanksgiving time. We don't know if it's going to be next year or the years coming if they vote differently on that, but it started at Thanksgiving around that time for so long. So because of that, I need you to do 3 things for me. First, shout out your first game. Second, shout out the Hoban community. Let them know why they need to support this team this year. And also shout out your favorite Thanksgiving Day dish.
Oh, awesome. We open up late because of football. So December 12th at Archbishop Hoban. It's a Thursday night against Pittsburgh North Catholic, who we've never played before in Hoban history. So that's cool. Secondly, I really want the community to come out and support these kids who haven't really all had their opportunity to play a ton of varsity basketball. For some of them, it'll be a little bit new to be on the floor. We have some veterans too, but I think we could be we could be a fun team to watch, because I think we're going to play very hard. And then, without a doubt, pecan pie from Stacked Bakery here in Akron. They've got the best flavoring on the inside. Now, they stole the formula from Osmond's Pies, who's not around anymore, but a pecan pie is without a doubt my favorite, especially with some Cool Whip on it.
You're the first one giving love to pecan pie. I've heard other pies too, but I'm gonna have to check out Stack's Bakery. All right, Stack. We're gonna have to
you won't go wrong. You won't go wrong. I already ordered my pie.
You already have it on free delivery. I love it.
Yep.
Love
It's ordered. I'm picking it up Wednesday. Trust me, it's the biggest part of Thanksgiving for me.
Well, Coach, I love it. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, but I also wish you the best of luck this season. I love this Knights team. I can't wait to get back in the castle, see what you guys got going on, and see what this edition of the Hoban Knights basketball squad looks like.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ty. Appreciate your support.
Anytime, Coach. It's been in the first edition of Coach's Corner with TK Griffith.
That was TK Griffith, Ty Bartell doing their Coach's Corner and season preview for Hoban. You can find that on ysnlive.com and our YouTube page. If you missed it, it's in its entirety over there on our website and on our YouTube. If you are watching right now on the YouTube or you're going over to watch that on the YouTube, I want to ask, please, if you would feel so kindly to hit that subscribe button down there. It helps us out. It helps the channel out. It tells the YouTube algorithm that people want to watch that content, so it gets it out to more people, right? So subscribe if you haven't. Once you subscribe, like and comment on a couple of videos. That helps too. And then hit that notification bell on the YouTube channel so you never miss a minute of the video action that we put on the YouTube page. We're updating it constantly. I'm telling you. Every day we got either post-game interviews, highlights, coaches' corners, player profiles, and a lot more on our YouTube page every day. So you don't want to miss a minute of the action. So make sure you also hit that bell and don't miss any of the videos that we post. Let's hop into the scoreboard and see what's going on tonight and over the weekend here across the network. We will scroll to today's scoreboard. Ignore the fact that it's Friday the 13th. I'm sure good things will happen tonight. We have East Liverpool at home against St. Clairsville in girls basketball. Conneaut at home against Geneva. Edgewood traveling to Jefferson. Lakeside going to Harvey. You have Brookfield going to Liberty. Champion, they're heading to Garfield, so they're playing 2 games in 2 days. Newton Falls will be going to LeBray tonight. You have Jackson Milton hosting Western Reserve. Springfield will go to McDonald in MVAC Scarlet Tier action. Sebring goes to Middle Ridge. You have Chalker, they're going to Wyndham. And Ursuline will be going to Cheney. That'll be a part of the boys-girls doubleheader in Cheney. Girls will play first, boys will play second. In the boys basketball world tonight, Austintown Fitch at home against Mayfield. You have Conneaut going to Cardinal. Salem hosting Minerva and EBC play. West Branch also in conference play. They're traveling to Marlington. You have Columbiana. They're hosting Watonia. United goes to East Palestine. You have Wellsville going to Lisbon. Southern Local going to Valley Christian. Camel going to Mooney. That should be a fun one in Youngstown. Waterloo hosting Lowville. Fairport Harding going to Badger. Matthews is going to be hosting Grand Valley. Pymatuning Valley going to Maplewood. Shocker hosting going to Wyndham. South Excuse me. Having a rough day, I guess, with the voice. South Range going to Girard, opening their season, first game of the year for the Raiders. Hubbard is hosting Hickory out of Pennsylvania. You have Lakeview hosting Niles. Once again, Ursuline playing Cheney. Mohawk will be on the road against Riverside. And then Beaver also on the road. They're going to be playing Northgate tonight. We have hockey. Orange is at home against Notre Dame Cathedral Latin tonight. And then let's go into tomorrow real quick, see what's going on over the weekend. What in the world? How did that happen? No. All right. All right. Here's what's going on tomorrow. Boys basketball tomorrow. Girard traveling to going to play Lowville, Boardman, South Range, and Poland and Neshannock. That's all happening at Poland's United Way Classic tomorrow. Beaver Local going to Indian Creek. East Liverpool hosting Cambridge. Geneva going to Conneaut. Jefferson will be going to Edgewood. Other way around. Edgewood going to Jefferson. JFK welcoming in Ashland tomorrow. You have Southern Local taking on Tuslaw. Salem hosting Struthers. Perry going on the road against Harvey. West Geauga will be at Orange. Crestview at Brookfield. Pymatuning Valley boys will be at Champion. Garfield will go to Ravenna. Lakeview goes to LeBray tomorrow. You have Newton Falls hosting Estill from Kentucky. That's going to be played in, I should be hosting, but that'll be played in the Hoosier Gym over in Indiana. Very exciting for Newton Falls basketball to be able to play in the Hoosier Gym. Southeast going to Akron Springfield. You have St. John playing Cleveland Horizon Science Academy. Louisville will be on the road against Akron East. CVCA comes to Hoban. And then Heartland Christian will go to Bristol. And girls basketball tomorrow, Springfield and Poland are also playing in that United Way Classic in Poland at noon. Beaver Local will be going to United. Orange goes host West Geauga. That's part of a boys-girls doubleheader. Perry will be going to Chardon tomorrow. Salem on the road as well against Canton Central Catholic. Lisbon goes to Heartland Christian. Crestview playing Hoban. That's going to be one that a lot of eyes are on. And then Maplewood comes to McDonald tomorrow in the afternoon as well. Ice hockey tomorrow. Canfield will be going and hosting Aurora. Orange will be hosting Nordonia. Do we have anything? Sunday we have a couple of games. I think Hoban is hosting more girls basketball games. In fact, Crestview will be playing Streetsboro at Hoban. And then Hoban has a game against Mansfield Senior. That game is going to be at 5 p.m. for Crestview and 6:30 for Hoban. So those are going to be good games all weekend at Hoban, and we thank them for letting us come and be a part of those as well. Here's your broadcast schedule for the weekend. And tonight we will have Springfield and McDonald girls basketball. I will be in that for the action there. The Ursuline and Cheney boys doubleheader will be handled by Chris Sigler and Steve Leslie. Garrettsville Garfield School broadcasting their champion game, so that one will also be on YSN as well. Ty Bartell will be in Fitch for their boys basketball matchup with Mayfield. Eric Hughes will be at Mooney for their matchup with Campbell. You have Tim Figley at East Palestine for their matchup with United. Joe Eusebio will be in Columbia, their host in Latonia. And Dakota Kotzel will be in Lakeview as Niles goes to town there. Tomorrow, here's your broadcast schedule. I will be back at McDonald for their girls basketball game against Maplewood. Chris Sigler will be at United for their matchup with Beaver Local. Noah Ricks has you covered for the West Geauga Orange boys-girls doubleheader. And Ty Bartell will have you covered for Crestview and Hoban, playing in Hoban. Boys basketball, you have Sam Torres covering Edgewood and Jefferson. You have Gary Burton and Scott Rogers in East Liverpool for their matchup with Cambridge. Dakota Kotzel in action at Champion as they take on Pymatuning Valley. And then Dom Pearson will be at Southern for their matchup with Tuslaw. And then on Sunday, we will also have the matchups at Hoban for you. Ty Bartel will be on the call for both Crestview against Streetsboro and Hoban against Mansfield. So both those games will be on the air on Sunday at 5 and 6:30 respectively from Hoban. So that will be an exciting weekend. We'll be back on Monday to recap it all here on Running Point. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. What a great show today. Brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We will see you all next time on Monday for a recap. Have a great weekend. Please.